We are back with a brand new video. What is good, Heat Nation? And we are back with recaps for another loss where the Heat fall to 7-10 in the first 17 games of the season. Yeah, very tough loss. I know we were shorthanded, but man, it was just brutal to watch after the first quarter. The first quarter, we were good. We hung around, forced some turnovers, and then after that, everything kind of just fell apart. Last game, I think we played Washington. I mean, that game we should have won for sure. Like, I know we were shorthanded. We only had 7 players, but like, we put ourselves in a very good position to win that game. Unfortunately, we had some defensive lapses down the stretch. Kuzma hit a 3 where he was supposedly wide open for whatever reason, and we missed some open shots. In overtime, Strus missed the game winner. He was completely off in the second half, and we fall to 7-10 with a back-to-back tomorrow against Minnesota, which I do not have high hopes for because we are definitely without Jimmy and Tyler for that game, and potentially could be without other players as well. So it's not looking good. It is not looking good, and I think if you're Pat Riley, if you are Andy Ellisberg, it is time to pull out the trade machine and start talking about trades, because it's almost been 20 games, and you know, we are 7-10 right now. Even if we win the next 3 games, the best we would be at the 20 game mark is at 500, and that is an absolute embarrassment for, you know, a team that has just been in the conference finals, 1 shot away from the NBA finals. We did not really lose anybody besides PJ Tucker, and you know, we are currently 7-10, probably going to be 7-11, and are going to be probably under 500 by the time we hit 20 games. Very disappointing, extremely disappointing. The Cavaliers, man, props to them. They're an extremely good team. I didn't have high hopes for this game like I did against the Wizards. I tweeted that we would beat the Wizards even before the game started, because I was like, you know what? I know we only have 7 players, but like, I think that he can still put this one out against the Wizards. The Wizards aren't really that great of a team, and we saw that the Wizards, they're not great. You know, they should have definitely lost that game against us, and unfortunately, they were not, you know, we could not capitalize on some of the mistakes they made and capitalize on the lead that we had. But the Cavs game, they are a very well coached team. On paper, they're one of the best teams in the league. They're 10-6. I didn't really have high hopes for this game at all, especially after the Wizards game. Kyle had a triple-double. I didn't think that effort was going to be, you know, consistent in carrying over to this game. He had an okay game tonight, but it wasn't anything special. Bam started off the game extremely hot, and you know, after that, the defense kind of just let the shooters shoot, and we did not make a lot of shots tonight at all. We only shot 19% from 3 on 31 attempts, which is atrocious. You know, we shot 38% from the field and 19% from 3 and got out-rebounded by 19. And they had 12 more assists than us. And we shouldn't really be surprised that we lost this game, because the stats will tell you everything you need to know. And if you watch the game, we were outclassed on both ends of the floor. It's not like we dominated any facet of the game at all. We shot more free throws than them, and we had 3 less turnovers, and that's about it. And they had like 7 turnovers in the first quarter. So, yeah, we got outplayed. After the first quarter, we got absolutely outclassed and dominated. And it is time for Pat Riley and the Heat front office to pull out the trade machine and start drawing up some trades, because this roster is not going to cut it come playoff time, if we even get there. I still think this team will be in the playoffs, but what is the point of being in the playoffs when everybody knows you're probably not going to make it too far? Last year, the team was very successful, and I would argue that they overachieved by making it to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, and a lot of people, including myself, predicted that with only the loss of a 38-year-old PJ Tucker, who looks absolutely washed right now, that this team would still be in, you know, championship contention. Unfortunately, you know, that has not been the case, and reality is hitting hard for a lot of Heat fans like myself and the Miami Heat in general. So this is not about, you know, a lot of people saying, oh, I told you so, this team is not it, Pat Riley's washed, Spo is overrated. This is not the time for all that. we have to figure out a way, you know, and try to, you know, hope and pray that Pat Riley and the front office can figure out a way to improve this roster through a trade. Again, where would the trade be coming from? It would definitely be for a front court player. I do not see any backcourt players being targeted by the Heat right now, especially, you know, without Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler. I think the backcourt and the wings position, I think they're not going to be touched. It's going to be the 4 position, and Jovic has looked really good in the minutes he's played. I still don't get why Spo does not play him more minutes. I mean, he played like 30 minutes tonight, but in the first half, he only played like 11. He was tied with Highsmith in minutes in the first half, which was absolutely mind-boggling to me. Highsmith is nowhere near Jovic on the offensive end, and I don't really understand. I don't really understand why Jovic has not been getting more minutes. But even if Jovic were to start at the 4, I don't think that's the change that's going to push us over the top. He's only a rookie. He's only 19. It's going to take time for him to, you know, get into his own in the league. He clearly has talent. You know, he's a very talented player. There's no question about that. But is he ready to be the starting power forward on a championship team? I don't think so. Not when he's 19. We shouldn't be asking Nikola Jovic to do all that. We should not be putting that pressure on a 19-year-old kid who just came from Serbia, and who's not really played too much, you know, NBA basketball this season. That is very unfair to him, and I don't think any Heat fan should be expecting him to save the season, because he's not. You know, he's not. Even if he is that good, there's no way Spo is going to trust a 27th overall pick to be the savior. It's gonna have to come from a trade. And who can the Heat trade for? Again, I'm going to say this in every single video I've made. I made a list of I think 13 to 14 targets on a separate video. I think that was like a week or two ago. All those names are still relevant today. None of those names have gotten traded. So the Kuzmas of the world, the Harrison Barnes, the Jay Crowders, a lot of these guys are still, you know, not moved. The Miles Turners, they're still on their teams, and they're still heavy in rumors. Another name that, you know, was rumored to be in trade talks and on the block yesterday, or 2 days ago, was John Collins. John Collins was rumored to be on the block by the Hawks, and this has been a yearly rumor. They've always been rumored to be shopping him, but John Collins would be the perfect fit next to Bam. You know, not only can he shoot, he's very athletic. I think he's improved defensively. He would be perfect. You know, there are options out there. Do not let a lot of people, you know, fool you by thinking that there's no options out there. Not only did I name 13 options out there, I did not include Jakob Poeltl, who I made a video on. I think that was my last video. And then John Collins, who's another name that I did not mention because I didn't even know the Hawks would be shopping him right now. So there's about 15 to 17 names out there that the Heat could have on their trade target list. And I just want one of those names to get traded to the Heat, preferably one of the top guys. But to be honest, bro, I just cannot really stand watching this Heat offense right now, and defense for that matter. They cannot stop anyone on the perimeter. And apart from Bam, who I feel so bad for because he's like the only source of defense in the paint. Like, they cannot stop anyone in the paint either. So Bam, I know he's, you know, they've tried to experiment with using him in the drop. It's kind of worked, I guess, a little bit, but it's still a game of finding and hunting mismatches. And, you know, if a team gets to go at a zone as easily, like the Heat zone is not a secret anymore. You know, a lot of people think the Heat zone is like, you know, a secret weapon. Everybody knows about it. Everybody knows the Heat run a lot of zone, especially tonight when we were shorthanded. We probably broke the record for the amount of zone we ran against the Wizards. So the Cavs definitely looked at the scouting report and they were like, you know what, they're gonna run zone. Let's practice. They probably ran their whole practice and based their whole practice on how to beat a zone, especially the Heat zone. And that's probably what they focused on, and that's how they were ready for it. Darius Garland had a field day against the zone. Same with Donovan Mitchell. The zone killed us tonight. Sometimes it makes us great. Tonight, nowhere near. So, you know, we can't be a one-trick pony on defense. You know, we use the zone to hide the weaker defenders on our roster. That, like, I'm gonna just put it, you know, in a blunt and honest way. I don't think we run zone because it's like an elite way of stopping people. I think we run zone because it's a good way of hiding our weak defenders. The Duncan Robinsons, the Tyler Heroes, like these guys who play, even the Kyle Lowrys at this point, the Max Struses at times, like the zone that we run is so that those guys do not get hunted individually as much. But when you keep running the zone and when it keeps getting predictable, teams start to figure it out. And you know, when you figure the zone out like that, it's like, bro, you know, now what are you supposed to do? So it just needs to be personnel changes. It's no system or no tactics that you got to change in order to make this team better. It's personnel changes that have to happen. And you know, this team has to get more athletic. They have to get longer. They need athletic wings on this roster ASAP. They need guys who can rebound the ball, who can defend, switch multiple positions, shoot the ball. Like that 4 position is gonna need to be fixed. And it's time, man. I've given it 20 or so games. It hasn't been exactly 20, but it's been about, I think, 17 games so far, and that's basically 20. And I've kind of seen all I needed to see. And it's like, bro, like this team is presently constructed is going nowhere. So it is time for Pat Riley to start making some trades. And you know, hopefully that is sooner than later. Hopefully they don't give it too long until they make trades, because you know, I know a lot of people will say it's early into the season, but it's been almost 20 games, so it's not, you know, we're not in that, you know, early figuring it out period anymore. Especially, you know, when it's an 82 game season, and if you were to make a trade, you would need time to gel. Like, you have to be proactive with how you make trades. You cannot make trades right before the deadline and expect it to figure it out, you know, to be figured out like a game or two as soon as you make that trade. It's going to take some time to gel after you make a personnel change to your roster. So I definitely think that, you know, this team has to be able to make personnel changes as quickly as possible, because like I said, it's not like it's that honeymoon early period. It's like it's been almost 20 games. You got to figure it out. And if you can't, well, I don't really know where this team goes. They're not going to tank, even though, you know, a lot of people make jokes that they might. So we'll see what happens, but that's where I am with this team. I'll see y'all later as always.